Hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Real Estate Uncensored. We have an amazing guest all the way from Australia, guys. This is 3 a.m. for him. He is up. This is Glenn Twiddle, the ever awesome human being. This guy, guys, he's up. If you are just listening to our voices today, he is up with a suit coat on, with a dress shirt on, looking dapper at 3 a.m. Gene and Nick and I look like schlubs.
I've been up for hours and I look like this.
Yeah. And he is amazing.
I will say, Greg, I do have what you guys call sweats on from the waist down. We call them tracky dacks over here, tracksuit pants. We call them tracky dacks. But I did throw on a jacket and a black shirt just so I have at least the illusion of professionalism from the waist up.
You have fooled us all, my friend. And Gene is not fooling anybody, though, because the two bald guys are on the bottom, two guys with hair on the top. And Gene is being awkward and quiet, and he wasn't here for the last show, so my feelings are hurt.
They should be hurt. I remember when I sent you that message that said "fuck you." That's what I said. Remember that?
That'll do it.
And there goes that therapy bill of $800.
No. I'll tell you something. This is what I'm looking at. So I'm getting all these notifications as we're talking. You know these wildfires in Canada?
Yeah.
So our air quality dropped here in southeastern Pennsylvania, in Philly. So they're basically putting out warnings to stay inside because of the wildfires in Canada.
Wow, dude! I saw New York City when it was covered in smoke. I thought that's what the Bay Area looked like a couple of years ago. It's horrible, dude.
I remember that. Yeah,
horrible. So stay inside. But Australia, actually, Glenn, I'm going to circle back with fires and talk about how to stand out in the local community. This came from one of your blokes from down under. You know who I'm talking about. The guy who went out cooking for all his folks.
Okay. Yeah, there was one of our agents when we had some fires. Yeah, absolutely. He went down, he cooked for the local fireys and all of that, and he certainly became in the process, him and his real estate business, really just single-handedly, and he didn't do it for this, but it ended up being the end result that he became a bit of a local legend just because he was, kind of, I don't even know what, Spanish or some nationality of that type. So he could cook up a paella like crazy. So he cooked up all this food for all the volunteers and the fireys and all the firefighters and all that. And became a local hero in the doing so. And of course, when you're famous in a local area and they know you're a real estate agent, game's over, like listing with anyone else in his area would almost be unpatriotic ever since that one, set of efforts. So yeah, man, you're taking me back though, Greg. That was even pre-COVID, I think, wasn't it?
It was pre-COVID. It was at least 4+ years ago. And it obviously still stuck out to me. And so a couple of things we're going to be talking about today is how to become the celebrity, the superstar, the go-to man or woman in your area and how to do it, some out of the box, some in the box ideas. But, I'm going to just turn it on over to Mr. Glenn Twiddle. And Glenn, question for you is, what is really kind of knocking it out of the park in Australia and with your clients that may or may not be something we've talked about before or something new and different that's caught your attention?
Well, I mean, the amount of times, like back when I first met you and Mr. Johnson, we used to speak about these principles and how, the first thing you've got to do when you're, and by saying in Australia, I learned a lot of these things from American coaches and American marketers and things. And this is some 10, 15 years ago. But the principles I learned from Dan Kennedy, from Jay Abraham, from some of those legend, Frank Kern, from these legend marketing coaches in the States, not real estate coaches per se, but marketing coaches, even Gary Vee. These principles that I learned from the legends like the Dan Kennedys of this world still apply to real estate and definitely apply when deployed online. So the things that you, me, and Matt Johnson were talking about to get famous in a local area, they're still true. It's just that in today's world, deploying those things on Facebook has become almost criminal to advertise anywhere else when you can get an impression for 1 to 2 cents. Whereas if you're delivering flyers in a letterbox, which is still, or direct mail or whatever the case may be, which I still teach and we still deploy, but a lot of those other media cost, even a flyer, a piece of paper printed is 20 cents because it's a couple of $100 for 1,000 flyers, pieces of paper, letters, whatever the case may be. So when an impression is 20 cents versus 1 cent, it's just criminal to not go all in and absolutely saturate your marketplace with the 1 cent eyeballs that's being offered to the right age group, because of course Facebook is where all us oldies live who buy, sell, transact real estate, so yeah, I have a lot of agents asking me TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and all of these other media, or offline media like paper and ink and printed, and they're all valid, but don't play with any of the others until you've perfected your Facebook strategy where the oldies are living. So that's, I suppose, the snapshot, Greg. Everything that you and I used to talk about in the episodes of Real Estate Uncensored over the years are all still perfectly valid. Just make sure you've got your Facebook 1 cent eyeballs thoroughly saturation marketing deployed before focusing anywhere else. Get laser beam focused on your Facebook strategy.
Well, the good thing is that we have masters of the Facebook realm. Mr. Nick Sakis, Mr. Gene Volpe are here. Nick, weigh in a little bit on that because that is fascinating. I have something that I want to throw to all three of you. I'm blessed to be here with you, gentlemen. Nick, Facebook, are you saying the same thing that Glenn is saying right now?
Yeah, I love so a couple things to unpack here, right? Number one, a lot of people try to do too many things and it doesn't work because they're doing too many things at one time, right? So the one thing that's really powerful, what Glenn said, no matter if you're in Australia or if you're in Tampa Bay eating a bloomin' onion, wherever it's happening, right? You want to make sure that you focus on one thing at a time. So master and perfect that one thing. And to compound that, not that there's not a lot of agents that aren't crushing it on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, because there are. We want to pull that back a little bit and say, for this specific reason, what Glenn was referring to, us oldies, and us oldies is now anywhere from, I think, 28 to 45, right? Like the older generation of social media who didn't grow up with vertical video. We grew up in the Facebook realm. There's still a lot of business to be had in Facebook. And it is a very, very good starting point if you've never done advertising, and a very good place to get your foundation of your business in order, because you can still, like Glenn said, get 1 cent impressions on the platform. And it is where the majority of your buyers and sellers are going to be. Now, if you are a younger 20-something up to 25 and you want to do nothing but attract first-time home buyers and younger people, then yeah, maybe you want to focus a lot on Instagram, but guess who owns Instagram? Facebook still, right? So, and then maybe you want to focus on TikTok as a secondary, but as a base platform that will cover the most opportunity for you from a buyer and seller perspective, Facebook is still number one in my book. And not just because I have a software that helps you launch ads, or AI that helps you convert people via Facebook ads, or because Glenn Twiddle said it all the way from Australia, but it's the truth. Facebook might be boring at this point, but boring works. And there's dozens upon dozens of people in your market that are crushing it with Facebook, that have been crushing it for a long time and will continue to crush it while you try to do all these other shiny things.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Hey, Nick, can I just add? I just want to add a little bit of context to what I said to clarify something with Nick, if I may. Now, first off, in Australia, because Nick, you just said something that reminded me, I'm talking to a USA audience. We in Australia, virtually none of our business that we do is attracting buyers. Really, no buyers here in Australia are represented by agents. We are always and only on the lookout for sellers, people who are selling a property. Because once, for whatever reason, the Australian buyers, they don't call a real estate agent in order to be represented to go and look for a property. They go to our portals, I suppose the equivalent, wherever all of your guys' listings are, be it Zillow or be it, wherever the big bulk of, Realtor.com or whatever. So our buyers go straight to the listings themselves, and they search the marketplace there for which listings they want to go and inspect. Then they go and visit those homes, or they call those real estate agents, not to be represented by those real estate agents, but to buy the property direct from the real estate agents. So for that reason, the only people we are looking for when we're prospecting, lead generating, and marketing is potential property sellers. And so even when you said those buyers, as young as 28 years old or whatever the case may be, in many suburbs and in many regions around Australia, it isn't the 28-year-olds that are selling homes. Sure, it happens, but the by and large people that we are looking for when we're marketing in Australia is the upwards of 28 all the way up to 65 and retirees, the people who are selling properties. And our testing has shown, and the other thing I would just say to our audience here is, not to believe any of us, not to believe me, not to believe Greg, even though, yes, you should believe these guys because they know what they're talking about. But what I love about this is when we test the dollars per lead to get on Facebook, we test the dollars per lead to get on the TikToks, every other platform in the world, what I love about them is they all give you hard and fast numbers and data. And so far, I'm yet to get within 2x, that's the best I've ever done, is double the cost per lead when we've done all the experiments, trying every other platform. And the next best one after Facebook is Instagram, probably because it's got similar targeting because of the ownership crossover that Nick mentioned. But yeah, all of the others 5 times. So a $22 seller lead that we might get on Facebook costing $100 to get on a Snapchat or a TikTok or or any other media, even Google, Google AdWords. I can't remember what it's called because it's been so long since we've done the tests. Because every time we've done the test, Facebook is nowhere near being beaten anytime soon for property seller aged humanoids down here in Australia. But testing will be your best friend because you cannot, the agent's sitting there saying, oh, I'm killing it on YouTube. All I would say is show me the numbers. You show me the numbers and then we'll talk. And until then, your opinion doesn't count because numbers don't lie.
Love that. Thank you for the clarification too. I think that's very helpful. And that definitely falls in line with what you were saying, because again, the older generation, like Facebook is just the king for, when it comes to that 35, 45, 50-year-old homeowners. Absolutely. I 100% agree.
Okay. All right. Gene, jump in here because
Gene had an audible gasp. So he's holding something back.
He does. He has to.
No. It's interesting to watch. I just go through these cycles where I work with real estate agents and they make my head hurt. And present company excluded, of course, except for you, Greg. You make my head hurt sometimes too.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, I'm kidding. No, but this is interesting. So, a couple things that I really want to point out, and I love Glenn's commentary there about all this stuff and the $22 lead, right? Like, oh my God, because Glenn, I know people in my market that are getting $1 leads, right? And you don't know me well enough to know that that's an absolute joke. But that's part of some of these brokerages plays. Like, we have this system and we're getting $1 leads. No, you've heard me talk about this before. That's not true. $22 leads in real estate is amazing. That's a great number, right? And so kudos to you for that. So here's one thing I want to
say. Hey, G, when the commission's $10,000,
right?
I pay $2,000 for a goddamn lead.
That's exactly. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that. And it sounds even better in an Australian accent. I'm not going to. No, but wait, just two things I want to point out because you guys are talking about this, and I heard what Glenn said in the beginning of it is like all the old people. So I'm just looking at stats as we're talking, right? And I want to drop a couple on you. So let's talk about this for a second. Do you know how many people live in the United States? And Glenn, I forgive me for working off of the U.S.
300 million?
331 million. How many active users on Facebook do you think that there are? Active monthly users do you think there are in the United States?
2.7 billion. In the U.S. or the worldwide?
No, in the U.S.
Oh, probably
200 million.
Yeah.
243.5 million. Meaning,
man, my USA stat guessing is on point today.
That's actually pretty good. I can't argue. But if you think about like doing quick math, that's like 7 out of 8 out of every 10 people are active users on Facebook. Second, What do you think, Nick Sakis, is the largest age group of Facebook users?
Ooh, 35 to 45.
Let's go around the horn. Let's go around the horn. You tell me what it is.
I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to say 35 to 45.
Glenn?
Yeah, I'd say oldies because the kids all left when the grandparents and stuff rolled in because no teenager wants to be at a party that their granddad's at.
Greg?
Yeah, no, it's definitely shifted to the older generation. There are those little anomalies of a Gen Zer popping in there going, "Oh, I'm on Facebook." I'm like, "Damn, you got an old soul."
Well, listen, they're all great guesses if you like shit guesses. As of March 27th, 2023, the largest group of Facebook users was 25 to 34.
Man, you're making this shit
trending down again.
But what I'd say, Gene, is if it's
25,
like 220 out of 330 humans, it's everyone. Like even like we could say, yeah, it's the youngers, but it's everyone. It's
right.
3/4 of the population, so it's goddamn everyone, you know.
Right.
100%. But it's funny that I think for the last 4 or 5 years, the demise of Facebook couldn't be understated. Nobody's there. Nobody's doing it. There's only 3 billion people there regularly. That's all. That's all there is.
Yeah.
Only.
No, it's
only
made a shift. I know it's made a shift back, especially with all the effort that they've put in place with, if you look at Facebook's playbook, it's take what everybody else has done and then replicate it in their own platform. And people are lazy.
Yeah.
You have the app on your phone. There's still a little bit of the, TikTok, bad Chinese kind of thing. So you have a whole nother polarization factor of Facebook feels friendly. And now we have Reels. And now we have monetization. Now Facebook's attracting people back to say, hey, we're going to give you a little bit more bump. If you're a creator, come be a creator on Facebook. And a lot of people are switching over because they're paying more money. So, yeah, that's not surprising at all.
But we've also got to be very conscious, lads, that we got to be careful that we don't get too smart for the room, because we got to remember we just spent 3 years, at least here in Australia, where we'd look at these stupid devices, primarily on Facebook, to know whether our government would allow us to leave our homes. Like literally, I'm not talking about us clever people, and I actually don't consider myself one of them, but us people who study Reels, who study monetization, who study Meta's transference from Facebook to Meta and all of these more advanced strategies. The users, the regular mum and dad public who sell real estate, they've just been indoctrinated for 3 years by the world when it couldn't leave a home, or whatever the case may be. We lived our lives more than ever before through these devices. Mm-hmm. And so that habit is going to be hard to undo. So we can talk about all the extra features and how Facebook might be boring or whatever by some people's standards, but that's for us people who live and breathe and literally do our business on Facebook, whereas most mums and dads, they're just still on Facebook like we might have been back in 2015, and they're just on there messing around on the stupid thing, having been forced there by COVID and that situation.
Yeah.
And just one other thing I want to put out there too. That's so funny. So that's one of my business partners and best friends, Brian Hoffner.
Hey, Brian.
That's my buddy. I was just talking to him. Here's another interesting element too that I think sometimes we leave out, and I'm seeing this firsthand myself, and it's new to me, right? So I have an 18-year-old who's just graduated high school last weekend and is going to the University of South Carolina in 3 months. Guess what she said to me the other day? I said, wait, how are you going to find a roommate? She said, I just created a Facebook account so I can actually get on there. There's all these South Carolina feeds where people go in, and it's almost like speed dating for roommates. So now my 18-year-old was forced to get an account on Instagram, or on Insta. She had an Instagram already, but now she's on Facebook. So Glenn, if you're advertising apartments for rent in the University of South Carolina, you now have her attention, right? So like,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're almost. I'm sorry. You're almost forced at any age. You still got to come back to the pinnacle of what is social media for the most part, right? So sorry, Nick.
The pinnacle of community. So you touched on it. We haven't touched on it yet, right?
There it is.
So how many people, like, you might not be actively on Facebook, but you're a part of 27 Facebook groups. Right? Like that's usually the point of community. So if you think back, here's another test. Have you ever seen a Facebook ad on TV? And what was that Facebook ad promoting?
No.
Anybody?
No, they don't advertise here on telly.
So I've seen Facebook ads on TV, and you know what? The only thing I've ever seen them advertise?
Yeah, the portal, right?
groups.
Facebook
portal.
groups.
Groups. Yeah.
Oh,
They ran a Super Bowl commercial for Facebook groups, right? So that is we talk about community. That is a powerful play. That's been a powerful play for real estate agents since the dawn of the show.
Yeah, but
10
99.9% of real estate agents, I mean, they do such a poor job. And fuck, dude, I'm with them. I do a horrible job with my group. That's why I quit using it, because it's another frigging job to constantly tend to it like a garden, make the thing bloom.
But that's a powerful. So when we talk about, like Glenn's talking about targeting,
but they're pushing
target people that are part of groups. You join a group. Now you have people interact with your brand. Now you can retarget them because they watched a video.
right.
All that kind of hyper, it's all relevant, and it's still relevant as ever before.
Could mean, so you're saying like, okay, so they basically, they weren't subtle about it. They're like, hey, get back in the groups and we'll promote you instead of being on your personal page, professional page, whatever else. Again, they want the community. Is that what I'm hearing? You're like,
well, no, what I'm saying is that's never changed. So that's always been a powerful thing. So when like what Glenn said, pandemic, people are glued to their phone. They're probably glued to their Facebook groups and their community groups to find out what's going on in their neighborhood because they're not leaving the house.
So, okay, so
Right?
let's pivot a little bit. I am doubling down. I've decided yesterday, I told you guys, I bought into something I've been staring at forever and a day, and it's like $30 a month. Okay. Turned out to like less than $300 for the whole year. But I sat there for like 3 weeks debating this purchase. Don't know why, but I finally bought it. It's called TubeBuddy, and I've decided that I'm going through all my YouTube, just playing with it. It is so powerful. It's awesome to, have the AI help out. So what about if you were to start doing YouTube? You were able to then create your content there, perfect it a little bit, right? Then take it and then go into these groups and regurgitate, or start your own group or regurgitate the same content. Why the fuck are you laughing at me, Gene? I'm going to swear to God, I'm going to mute you.
do you really want to know? Do you really want to know?
Let's hear it.
No.
Yeah. When you talk pre-show about spending a monthly nut on TubeBuddy, I just thought it was your latest sex toy. I didn't realize it was an application that you were.
Zinger.
I'm
sorry,
Glenn. I'm sorry you had to come all the way from Australia to deal with this crap.
No, it's all good. It's all good. One of my favorite conversations I ever had in the world was at 1 a.m. on the streets of Brisbane with Greg McDaniel. I tell you what, let's just say it wasn't quite X-rated, but 1 a.m. with McDaniel, you never know what's going to happen.
This is true.
I remember exactly where we're standing. We're standing behind the hotel, and we had just driven down the coast from a great day with you and the whole fam, and it was a great time out there. But yeah, I remember that conversation. Anyways, back on track here. Really, taking the non-sex toy TubeBuddy. Gene's gonna get the red TubeBuddy for Christmas now, but. Can you take those videos and hone your skill, learn the whole art, because they really walk you through it easily through that program, then be able to either take that video from YouTube or just create additional content on the same subject matter in the groups on your own personal stuff, but it's going to be original, but it's the same information. Can someone do that? So I'm talking about 4 different dog parks I love in the area. Here's why. Bam. YouTube video, Facebook in story, Facebook reel, Instagram story. You can reconstitute all that content out there. How can you rip it apart? I know there's a couple of sites out there that can tear the videos apart, that can suggest reels. What was it? Is Opius or Opium or Opius? How the fuck is it?
Opium was part of that one.
One thing I'd say, when it comes to doing what you're just describing, a lot of people, again, yourself included, do look for a site that can do it, or do look for an automated program that can do it. What I would say is there's very few real estate agents that are, well, first off, most real estate agents won't have the competency to do it. But what I would say is, well, here's what I do. I have the budget that I could automate it, and I have enough content that I could automate it. I still record something in full, in a format that's just, as universal as I can. So I'll record it in 16:9. I give it to my team member, the head of my Facebook department, who then chops it up into a square format for deployment on Instagram, a 9:16 format for deployment to Reels, different lengths for stories and IGTV and all of those things. So, a 15-second version, because that could be deployed here, a 30 or a 60-second version, because that could be deployed here, a full-length version, because that can be deployed here. And get it done once and then deploy it everywhere. But the main point is that for real estate agents, your content is so not really liked. And that's why I like, Greg, when you talked about the dog park. You got half a chance of that being deployed and actually viewed. Because if you get on there and start talking your real estate nonsense, no one likes it. No one wants it. So your only chance is pay the money to all of the advertising various platforms, because if you're not paying to shove it down the throats of your marketplace, geographically targeted, no one is going to see it. So I would even say, even if it is interesting stuff, like here's your local dog park, here's an event I'm doing this weekend, here's whatever it might be, local community stuff, or real estate stuff, when it comes to a 1 cent impression, yes, get it chopped up by someone. I'd probably rather maybe you didn't use automation. I'd rather you had a human set of eyes on it. But if it had to be automation, great. But get it out there and saturate your marketplace with it at a 1 cent eyeball, just because if you don't get it shoved down, if you're relying on organic, you're leaving it up to the lap of the gods. And most times for real estate agents, the world hates us so much. The algorithms know it. They're not going to distribute you whatsoever. So pay the 1 cent and have it distributed, just so that your marketplace even knows you're alive. Because I tell you, I've done the research. I've gone down to the local, what would be considered, say, the local Walgreens, just a local store where the locals go. And I did it the other day for one of my clients who's been in this business for 30 years. And he thought he'd done a great job of getting his brand, getting his marketing out there to the marketplace. I just asked randomly 20 people of property owning age, so sort of 35 up. Hey, if I said to you the brand name, excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Human, I'm seeing walking down, I just need to ask you a quick question. I'm doing a quick survey, and I just want to ask you, if I said to you the brand name Greg McDaniel, what, if anything, does that brand name mean to you? And the reason I say brand name, I don't want to know, hey, do you know Greg McDaniel? Because I don't want them to be thinking personal. I want them to be thinking a business. So if I said to you the brand name Greg McDaniel, what, if anything, does that mean to you? 1 out of 20 knew the name, and it was a mate of his from the surf club. So literally, other than his mates, who I happened to run across one, 0% market penetration for that real estate agent who's been in the business, relatively successful for 30 years. And this was smack bang in the middle of his marketplace. I did it for one of my clients who's been doing it the way I recommend for 5 years, 14 out of 20 market recognition. So the main thing is, no one knows who the bloody hell you are, period. So that's the first thing you got to get known. You got to get them to know that you are alive, because without them even knowing you're alive, your marketplace doesn't care if you live or die, because they don't know you.
Yeah, it's really true. And we all think that we have the best marketing because it's our face, our name, our brand, our colors, our design. It's our little baby, right? It's like, oh my God, do you see that perfect color of teal on my guy holding a house with an orange bow tie? I mean, that teal is perfect. Gene, I'm talking to you. But you'll labor over that decision, like, should the bow tie cry? Should it not? What do we do? But in reality, you should be out there just walking, knocking, and talking, and getting your butt in front of as many human beings, or humanoids, as Glenn would say,
humanoids,
as fast as
I like
humanly
humanoids,
possible.
yeah.
And my dad, before all this bullshit with social media was available, his social media was his business card. He would hand out 25 business cards every day because he had nothing else to do and then no income, but he had business cards, and he went and he door knocked and he handed out business cards. Within 6 months, he had more business he could ever fucking handle. He was written up in the newspapers and everything.
That's 6,000 humans a year that had his business card. God damn it. Most real estate agents haven't got 6,000 people who know that they're alive. I can promise you that.
Dude, 250 people is the average amount of people that would show up to a funeral or even comment on it. So if we're at let's say we're at 6,000 people, you divide it by 2,
Yeah.
obviously that's 3,000. You divide it by 2 again, that's 1,500. Let's get real fucking stupid. Divided by 2 again, that's 750. You really fuck a duck. You divide it by 2 again, that's 375 people that could be referring you. And let's say you get 50 deals out of that 375, but culture, relationships, the other 75 to 80% threw your card away, but you had a human engagement and you didn't scare them. Unless it was Matt Johnson, then they would run for the hills. But it's okay. That's why Matt's in therapy and the other people are in mental traction, but we still love them. Let's quickly talk about something that I really want to bring up in this. And the reason why is that I was driving back from where? Oh, yeah, the dog park this morning at 6 a.m. Shut up, Gene. And I'm watching all these YouTube videos. I'm trying to understand, how to use my TubeBuddy, not the adult version, Gene, the business version. And I heard this guy's ad. I counted probably 10 to 15 times. He's the most boring fucking voice on earth. Hi guys, I want to show you how I became a multimillionaire by 24 years old. That motherfucker had me click on his thing after 15 times on YouTube, but it was 14 times of impressions that didn't cost him a dime to get my information. So he ultimately won on getting my information. Now he can drip his information out to me, kind of get me into his tribe. But why wouldn't you do like 3 to 5 minute YouTube ads? Because as you guys know, YouTube, you only pay if they click or they watch it all the way to the end. So you make it as long as humanly possible with call to actions throughout, but you get that brand for a minimum of 3 seconds every single time someone clicks through you. Why couldn't you put them in there and direct them back to your other stuff the entire time as you keep talking? And then ultimately at the end, they will click or whatever else. So your cost per becoming relevant per Glenn, I think could be a very powerful play. They did the same thing. They did an example of they went into a neighborhood in Southern California. I think it was like 500 homes. It wasn't a big plot. They went out and door knocked it. Who's the number one real estate agent in the area? Everyone smattering all different names. Nobody had a dominant force. They went back 8 weeks later after they mailed into the exact same 500 homes. This a fake real estate agent info. And next time knocking around the neighbors, that fake agent was the number one. So what's the best way to just browbeat, and as the Chinese say, death by 1,000 cuts or death by 1,000 drips, water torture? How do you get into their system at a lowest and best cost? Would YouTube be viable as a top of funnel, pushing it back to a YouTube page or group, or vice versa? I mean, how would this work, guys? But I know there's a blend. It's obviously worked on me today, gentlemen.
Well, my first comment, Greg, would be you kind of summed it up. They surveyed, got no one. They surveyed again and got saturation lift, I think they call it in the advertising world. They got brand recall. So testing is the way to ascertain it, Greg. So all I would say is test it, but make sure you're not just throwing some money at it in the hopes that, oh yeah, I watch YouTube, so everyone watch YouTube, so I'm going to do it. Pick your area, target that area, measure your results either by doing it and then measure look, I like what you say, Greg. You only pay if they stay for 30 seconds and then click or whatever. So during that 30 seconds, you encourage them to click. I remember, I've done, of course, some YouTube ads, and I've said, hey, if you're a real estate agent and you're not interested in getting more appraisals, getting more success and all of that, I insist, click that button down there, that skip button. God, get me out of your face. But if you are interested in that, let's play. So, of course, do all of that, get the free exposure. Greg, you asked the question, why wouldn't you do it? I would say you wouldn't do it because you haven't yet dialed in your Facebook strategy yet, because it's already proven. You've got Nick up there saying it's the way to go. You've got me saying I've got a couple of hundred agents down here in Australia earning $500,000 in their pocket or more who swear by it. So what I'm sort of saying is play there. That's the reason why you wouldn't. But if you were going to play, don't believe anyone except how much money you spend to get a tangible result. be that a lead, or in the example you gave, Greg, you are going a little bit on faith that you're going to go and do it with no brand recognition, do, and then hopefully your survey bears results. But once again, you're back in experimenting time, which is, but it's better than not measuring at all and just hoping, oh yeah, I'm getting the name out there, because old mate did that for 30 years and he didn't get the name out there. Someone forgot to tell the people that he was getting the name out there to. Someone forgot to tell them that he's the man, because nothing that he was doing was actually capturing anyone's attention.
That's the old saying of when you look it down and you see a house got listed, be like, son of a bitch, how did my client list with the other agent? Did they know that you were their client? Because they missed the memo on this. Gene, you're plotting my demise. I can see it on your face. But I mean, I always throw this at you, as the resident bald ninja, aka the American version of Glenn Twiddle. What would you advise? Would you go Facebook heavy? Would you go YouTube heavy? I mean, would you go a different route? What's your 2 cents on this?
So I want to clarify this by saying, number one, I think part of this has to do with your audience, right? This is an individual marketing play in my book. So typically what I do with my clients is I sit down with them first and I find out, where are they getting their eyeballs, right? Like, okay, where do they get the most activity if they're doing all social media channels, where they get the most activity? And then I probably would go heavy in that space. So for some people, maybe it's LinkedIn. Others, it's, maybe a younger demographic. They got some crushing ads and they're killing it on Instagram. I might force them to go that direction. But all in all, across the board, I would say at the very least, you need to be doing low cost branding advertising on Facebook at the very least.
Okay, so give me an example of a low cost branding. What would that look like?
So Greg, for you, here, let's switch me back out of this so I can look at your face while I'm talking.
Why you don't want to be the Gene Show? Okay.
No, because I like, sometimes when we talk about this stuff, I like watching other people's faces as they react to it, and also if we want to cut in, it's easier that way, right? Okay. So for you, Greg, honestly, like we've been talking about this dog park shit forever. I always make fun of you for it, but I think it's it's something that you do on a regular basis that people now know you for. Mm-hmm. So why do we not create a branding and advertising campaign for a look with having to do with some of these things with dogs? Maybe you giving donations back to a local dog park, the tennis balls with your face on it that we talked about. Like I would create these marketing assets, whether it be a 20-second video or little clips of photos of you with your dog with the outline or different little things talking about this is the dog park realtor of San Francisco or Danville or whatever it ends up being, right? Those are things you can make pretty quickly. I can generate 6 to 10 of them for you in a shot, and it costs you $0.01 a piece to get them out in front of everybody. So at a minimum, I should have people clicking on to find out who I am with my logo, my face, and something that I'm known for, which in your case, we would talk about the dog park stuff, right?
Right. As an example, but you guys, anyone fill that in with whatever you're known for in your area.
Exactly. And you know what? Listen, I've been doing this show with you for how long?
It feels like forever. It's got to be at least 6+ years, at least.
Yeah, I'm thinking 7 or 8, right? Yeah. And for the first 4 years of this, you weren't a dog park guy. So you can invent that and create it right now. Figure something out for yourself now. Create what that is that your niche is or what you're known for, and then just start playing on it. Like that to me is like all these systems, KV Core, whatever, EXP's using, all these things that these are using. There's a pretty easy system behind the scenes to boost posts and to send simple advertising out. You just use that. Spend $100 a month.
Okay, I just came up with an idea. As with 3 marketers on the line, please tell me I'm actually batshit or if I'm really onto something. And I see all of you smirking, so this is gonna be fucking awesome.
Tennis balls with your name on it.
No, totally different. So here it is. Fucker. So warm or cold weather, everybody likes to dress their pets up. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, like pets, toys, pets, clothes, pets, whatever. I'm thinking about, I'm going to talk to a company called All Things Real Estate, and she's been an associate of mine for a long time. And because she has a dog outfit, but I'm going to get a custom dog outfit, and I'm going to put a QR code on him on both sides, and I'm going to say scan for local deals or something like that.
Scan my dog.
Yeah, scan my dog, and then so here it is. So everywhere we go, hey guys, you want some local deals? scan him, and you'll get the local deal that we just put together for everybody who scans the dog. You can share the link too. So the local businesses, I can go to Groupon. I can get the same discounts that they're giving out already. I can get that associated with the QR code, which will be like a locals just discount, accumulation of different discounts over time. And they can just scan it and get a free discount. The businesses don't lose a dime because they're already offering it. Rupert gets, notoriety, and people get to interact with him. They can post selfies, and, there'll be obviously an opportunity to build a relationship there with them. But just walking around as the QR dog or the real estate dog or the coupon dog or whatever else. So when they see him, they're like, "Oh, Rupert, what kind of coupon do you have?" Click. "Oh, I love the yogurt place."
That's a great idea, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you were making fun of this bow tie earlier, right? The basis and foundation of all marketing is to get people to stop and engage. So with this bow tie, I used to have, you've seen these, I had the business cards that were die cut, cost me a ton of money. Every single time I handed that business card to somebody, they stopped and went, "This is different. This is cool. What do you do?" Now I got you, bro. So now if I'm walking my dog and they're like, "Look at the cute little dog." Okay, scan it. I'm a real estate agent locally. You're going to get free coupons. Have any need? The whole point of all of this that we're talking about is getting somebody to stop and take 10 seconds to notice you and engage them in conversation. Then at that point, if you're a good salesperson, you're going to close the deal. If you're not, you're going to be out of business.
Yeah. I mean, Glenn, is Australia a place? Is this something that's just U.S. that does something this out of the box, or is Australia kind of in the same line? Or walk us through that a little bit so our international viewers can listen.
One thing, Greg, I would say you kind of you went away from the question you asked, because you were asking about a low cost. No, Gene mentioned it, and you were saying, "Hey, would this be a low cost branding idea being drip fed out?" Sure. At the case, and you went to a more lead generating strategy, a more you're wanting something out of this strategy, like you're wanting to scan, you're wanting to get the coupon, you're asking them, you're doing a direct response marketing strategy that's asking them to do a call to action, which is fine. So if that was your purpose, then wonderful. It is a good strategy, and involving pets is a good thing. While you guys were talking, I did just I just want to see if the share screen will work, and it should do. Let's see if this works. What am I looking for? Is it going to let me share? No, I don't want to share that. I want to share my actual screen. Will it let? Anyway, I won't do it. Yeah. I tried to. I don't know if I'll be able to. One of the most successful promotions we ever did was an agent of mine got a pack of doggy stuff, a dog bowl, a dog chew toy, a dog DVD, and just a big pack of dog stuff. And she got, and I'm looking at the slide here of the graphic, 4.1 thousand comments on her Facebook thread, 4.1 thousand. People took a photo of their dog, and because that was how to enter the contest to win this thing, to put a little photo of their pooch in the comments. These are all in the local area. So it's what Gene just said. Got people to engage with a real estate agent. When was the last time one of your posts for virtually no money, there's a little tiny boost, but that was only because I told her to boost it. She didn't have to because it went nuts. 4,000 entries into this thing. Now think about what they had to do. They had to pull out their phone, take a photo of their little pooch, upload. They had to spend a good 30 seconds on that real estate agent. Why? Because they love their dog. So, Greg, I love that as a strategy in that loving, the dog. And now, given that I'm going to try one more time to share my screen, because I do want to give you a low-cost, drip-fed, shove it out to your marketplace branding strategy, like Gene just said. So I'm going to try this one more time, and it's going to say
you should have permission to bottom.
Oh, entire screen. Yeah, I see that. Entire screen. Now, why won't it now? The share button's grayed out. Do you have to give me permission, Greg? Do you have to give me permission?
No permission.
Nope. You're ready to rock and roll, brother. Rock and roll. As you guys tell, as much as we love our tech.
What can you guys see? Can you guys see anything?
Hopefully not your tube, buddy.
There we go.
Okay, so you guys can see this, yeah?
No, it's a black screen right now.
Black screen.
Okay, doesn't matter then. All right, what I was trying to show you was.
Can you send me a link? Send me a link to it.
No, it was my Facebook ads manager back of house. Okay. So And now I'm lost on my StreamYard. So, Greg, can you sort of somehow get me out of StreamYard?
I can get you out.
Oh, no, there it is. No, there it is. I'm back. So let me just go. Oh, no. Are we back to everyone? Or you're not seeing my black screen anymore, are you? No, okay. No. So I'll just describe it. I was going to show you my Facebook ads manager, right? And so not for me, but for one of my clients. And what we did, it was an agent just doing a quick intro on a video saying, hey, I was honored helping this client get what she wanted. Better words than that. 5 seconds of that. Then it was about 3 minutes of a little old lady sharing how this agent helped her. It has now been deployed. And it's in a big, and for you guys who know your Facebook, Nick, you'll understand this. So guys, if you need more information, if you're a real estate agent, you need to go to Nick and have him talk you through how to physically set this up. So I've got a campaign that has just one ad set in there with our geographic area that we're targeting. And within that ad set, and the age demographic as well. So the age is the appropriate one and the geography is the appropriate one where we would want a listing. Then in amongst that ad set, there's about 20 or 30 stories like the one I'm describing that I was going to show you. And maybe next time we're on, Greg, we'll figure out how to do it on StreamYard so I can show the video. But it's got a little old lady telling her story where about a minute in, she is telling the story and then she starts going and wiping her eyes going, I'm sorry, get a bit silly. I still get a bit emotional. And she's crying with gratitude over the real estate agent's help, right? And then there's all different stories about how this real estate agent helped. Now, what I'm going to sort of say is if I bring up, and I'll just have to read these things out to you, so you'll have to trust me. If you optimize for video engagement, this thing has been impressioned 1 million times, 2-second video play. Now, this and all of the videos, so understand there's about 20 or 30 of them. So it's all different ones that over time, over years, just get slowly seen at 1 cent a pop. So they've been deployed 1 million times to her geographical area, watched for 2 seconds 500,000 times. So none of that matters, because when we get to the stuff that matters, over the last couple of years, it has been seen 16,000 times, 16,000 in her geographic area at 75% or more. So that's it. Now, my question is, who the hell is going to watch 3 minutes of a little old lady talking about how she was served and benefited by dealing with a real estate agent? Which 16,000 out of that million constitutes those humans? It's the people who could be bothered sitting through real estate agent nonsense. So it's a tiny percentage, but it's 16,000 in her area. She's gone from 0 to number 1 in her area by a country mile, put $1 million in her pocket, basically on the strength of that low cost, 1 cent per view. Now it's 1 cent per view for 2 seconds, right? So there's a chance they only just get to see sold Joanne Riley. But for those 16,000 out of that million, they got, and of course you can check Facebook to see how much it cost per 3 minute view, or 75%, 95%, or whatever the case may be. So say it's $1. Would you pay $1 for someone to watch 3 minutes of a little old lady crying with gratitude about what you did for them? Yes. The answer is a resounding yes. And so what I would sort of say, Greg, is, and you're guilty of this, my friend, I'm going to say this, and you are probably representative of so many real estate agents across the world, let alone in America, in Australia. You're guilty of it, Greg. You look for the next thing before you perfect, test, systemize, and outsource the thing you're currently dabbling in, with one exception: your cold calls. Your cold calls, you dialed in like an animal. And you do them, you perfected them. You can't outsource them because they're you, but you systemize them and you nail them ever since I've met you. That's years. Yeah. What I would suggest for you, Greg, is find whatever thing it's going to be and dial it in to the point where it is systemized so that you stop doing how about TubeBuddy? How about holiday giveaways? How about published author? How about? Now, I'm not saying don't do them. What I'm saying is do them, but perfect them and systemize them. And if Nick can outsource them and do these things and manage them for you, great, but don't stop doing something before you have perfected it, dialed it in, and make sure it's working.
So,
Right,
as much as I fucking hate Glenn right now, he called me out on the carpet publicly, and you know what? I appreciate that. Is a very accurate assessment of things that I've gone into. The latest one is the vacation thing. In the U.S., it just isn't very receptive apparently right now. But we're going to continue to see how this goes. I think they're freaking awesome. But a lot of folks just have a different jaded point of view on them. And yes, I do bounce around. Here is one thing I really am going to go deep on, and it is going to be more video. I have every mic, I have every camera, I have every tool I could ever use. I have content come out of my ears. I have the availability to live in Northern California with endless opportunity with gorgeous landscapes to take video of. There is no fucking reason why I shouldn't do it. The only reason is fear of not being successful. But hey, you know what? This podcast, I didn't have that fear because I didn't care. So why do you care about video? Who gives a shit? Who cares if they see you for 2 seconds or 3 minutes on video? Just start producing it. And so, yeah, I mean, my podcast, we've done a lot. We've done very well with this one, visibility. Real estate sales done very well when we were tried and true to our original stuff. That's door knocking, cold calling, networking, social media. That's it. It's shifted. Now I'm going heavy video, because I like it. I like to prospect like that, and I like to do calls. So there, I can actually point people to my YouTube channel, say, hey, here's my YouTube channel. Check out all the stuff I'm putting out. I'm not a fraud, and people call me back. They search my social media. But a lot of people, and I am very guilty of it. Nick, as an agent, I'm sure you're guilty of it too. We like to bounce around and go shiny object to shiny object, and that is where a lot of people fall through the cracks, because they just burn cash without making it. And we've done it, and then we quit using things that work so well because they work so well. We went on to the next shiny thing. I have said from this platform the entire time, I am no different than you. I just have a platform to stand on. I've been doing it a fuck ton longer than most people, and I've already ate shit and then had to say sorry. Listen to the show and don't do me. Just don't, whatever I say, don't do it 90% of the time, except for when it's hanging out and, hanging out.
Hey, Greg, well, it's an example, and I don't know the answer to this. I'm flying without a net. A good idea you had that was working years ago when we did a couple of episodes, because you mentioned just now networking. Are you still doing those invite-only events? And if not, why aren't you doing a monthly still?
COVID. It shut it down.
Of course. Not fair call.
And a lot of people here in the Bay Area are still very standoffish from getting super close. I mean, we're getting back mentally, but we're not 100% there. That's into each other.
Perfectly understandable. I haven't done a seminar, so
I got a question for Glenn. So this whole episode has been Glenn with his mic is a little bit hotter than everybody else's.
Oh, my apologies, guys. Sorry, I'm just enthusiastic. Sorry, Nick.
I love it. I love the energy, especially knowing that it's 3:00 in the morning for you. I absolutely love this energy. See, if you're listening to this, you're not new to Real Estate Uncensored and hearing us talk about doing video, right? This is a little bit of a different twist when Glenn says he went to Walgreens and surveyed 20 people, and 1 out of 20 knew this person versus, was it 14?
14 of the guy who
right? So
doing it well. Yeah.
The majority of what we talk about on this show is direct response marketing. And I think that is the majority of a realtor's thought process or cap when they put on and they think of advertising goes to, what is my ROI going to be? What is my ROI going to be 24 hours after I put my first dollar in? A lot of times it doesn't work like that, but that's just how we think, because we listen to podcasts that say, oh, I got 25 leads at $1 per lead, like Gene said, right? Like this falsity in the social media world. So I can tell you what stops most agents from being locally recognized is the fact that knowing going into it, they're going to say, I'm going to spend $500, $750, $1,000 per month without expecting anything in return. And how long can I actually do that before I can't pay my electric bill because I'm a new agent and or I'm in a rough patch or whatever. So I say that to say this and ask this question. Glenn, of all the hundreds of agents that you work with that are doing this branding first strategy before you go to direct response, what is the budget? per month. We've mentioned 1 cent per view, which sounds good. We've mentioned $1 per day, but what is the actual? Either you're going to be like Greg's dad and spend $6,000 on business cards to hand out for the year, however much money he spent on, or 6,000 business cards. So that might have been.
I don't think a card costs $1, but okay.
Yeah, you might have been $800 a year on business cards, right? If you're doing that strategy, what's the dollar amount on an annual for a Facebook branding campaign that somebody should implement to be known, but knowing that it's not going to result in, like you said, a $22 listing? That came from direct response. There's no way that came from just overall branding, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking through on Joanne so I can tell you for sure. And I am not being able to find it. So what I'll say is, I would say,
I have an idea. I can give you my idea, but go ahead. I want to hear. Yeah.
My answer is as much as you can afford. It's everything. At 1 cent a view, here's my take. Now, admittedly, I'm probably wrong because I've been saying it for about 6-7 years that this cheap eyeball won't last forever. And I've been saying that for too long that maybe it bloody well will. But even if it was 2, 3, or 4 cents a view, like I said to Gene before, I'd pay $2,000. If I was swapping $2,000 in cost of client acquisition and 10 to 20 hours of my time for a $10,000 check, sign me up, right? Sign me up. So it's like buying discounted money. It's like, buying $10,000 checks for $2,000, and it's not costing $2,000 anywhere near it. So what I would say is every penny you can afford, once you've got a strategy that actually does what we're talking about. Like if you've got what I call the video testimonial evergreen bucket, that's that bucket of success stories of people singing your praises. Now, look, I'm like a mechanic that hasn't been doing the best car of my own. I've got one, and I've only been doing it at $20 a day. I should have it at, like, the most I've ever spent per day when I've had an extended campaign to do is $900 a day on Facebook. That's just for the Glenn Twiddle branded products to fill up a seminar, $900 a day. So what I would say is, while our ROI is so ridiculous, every penny you can afford. For Joanne Riley, it's $20 a day. The lady I talked about before who's doing that video evergreen bucket. It's $20 a day. Yeah. So that works out at $600 a month, which is nominal. It's about 1 commission per year. Right now, her audience, we need to know about the audience size, because if you go $20 a day to all of LA, no hope. To all of San Fran, no hope. It's going to be like putting a drop of, it's got a teaspoon of hot water into the Pacific Ocean. It's going to do nothing. It's not going to have the impact. So you've got to have your geography targeted down where $20 a day, which is about 1,000 to 2,000 impressions a day of humans. So it probably needs to be targeted at an audience of 20 to 30,000 people geographically, maybe 50,000. But yeah, $20 a day forever. And now your job is just to keep shoving new success stories in there, turning off the ones that have been seen 10,000, 20,000 times so that the new ones get into rotation. But here's what you do. As soon as you run out and they've all been seen a lot, you turn back on the good ones and you just rotate them through with that money just sitting there being drip fed at, say, $500 a month. But now there might be an agent out there saying $500 a month, Glenn, hell, forget it. Then start at $3 a day. Just start is the main thing. Because there's no way that someone, even if it's only 2% of your viewers, that 2% of that 2,000 viewers, those 20 people who watch 3 minutes of that, when they are going to list and sell property, there is a high chance that you're going to get that recall rather than the agent that has his face on a bus stop saying, sell with Charlie. No hope. Little old lady with a tear in her eye. That's the one you want.
Dude, so $20 times 365 days is only $7,300 for the year.
1 commission a year.
We're in our area, we're making $15,000 to $25,000 pretty easily on commissions, and I would pay $7,300 in a nanosecond for 1 referral, for a 25% referral. I mean, it's a guesstimation around the same price point, right? And I'm like, okay, well, if I can do that for a year of building a reputation, that's a damn good opportunity. That is almost free. That is free.
Let me ask you a question. Would you hire a 21-year-old kid or an 18-year-old kid and give them $500 or $750 a month to do nothing but hand out your business cards all day for a year.
I tried that, and here's why I wouldn't do that. I hired 4 high school kids going into college. They're seniors. We trained them. We took them out and we gave them 100 flyers to do door knocks. They were good, but then they slowly petered off, and they admitted to me years down the road that what they would do, they'd just go smoke weed, throw the flyers in the garbage can, and then come back. They squirt their shirts down with water and pretend like they've been sweating.
So I'm
Human
sorry.
resources are tough.
Yes, yeah. So first off, I'm sorry I did that to you. It sounds like something I would do. And second of all, my point there was that's what you're doing with these Facebook reach ads. Like, you're basically hiring somebody without having to give them a commission to hand your business cards out all day, every day to people, and multiple times to the same person.
Yeah. And like my example earlier in the show, people aren't, we're just tuning in now, is to the fact that, I gave a guy all my information today because I heard his ad on a YouTube videos that I keep watching, just keeps popping up on all of them. And I'm like, fine, you know what? This is interesting enough. I just bought TubeBuddy, so I'm very interested in what this guy has to say. So I clicked, and it was the right time. Now he has my info. So it just has to be repetitive enough, till it becomes one of those stupid ass jingles that you hear from one of those either car shops or
Costanza.
See right there.
I was going to ask Glenn about jingles. How you feel?
Glenn, what about jingles?
Audio is always good. The problem with jingles is we already have a problem that we're seen as real estate agents, and we try to be seen as professional out there. When I say we, I haven't been a real estate agent for 15 odd years, but the agencies all want to be seen as professional. They all want to be seen as serious business owners who can add value and all of that. Yet the world, for 98% of their life, hates real estate agents, and they hate the fact that we're always trying to annoy them about business matters. And I wonder, none of my guys have ever done a jingle, and I've never recommended it. So it is as yet untested. So I'm not saying this with that, and I'm always about the testing. So what I would say is test it and see. But the reason that I wouldn't go there initially would probably be because the last thing I want to be seen by my community is a professional real estate agent. Now, I want them to know that I'm a listing and selling real estate agent. I want them to know that that's what that bald guy who I can't get away from does. But I want to be seen by them as, oh yeah, that's that Glenn guy. Yeah, Jesus, he sells everything. But I want them to think of me as a human, a community member, like not an influencer, because even that's got bad connotations to it. But I want them to know me as a person who happens to be in the business of real estate if ever they need it, but that's not the reason that they know me. So I'd rather be known as Greg, the dog walking guy, who they happen to know is in real estate, because they don't need to know anything about his real estate world for 98% of their life. So, yeah, look, I'm all big on audio, because if you get an earworm in a jingle in your head, it's hard to get out of. We've just never tested it.
Dude, well, Nick, I know why Nick's asking that question. So, Nick, I want your point of view on this. Now.
I'm super pro jingle right now, because we live in a 15-second society, and it's that 15-second slot is so universal for all platforms. But it's like anything else. So Glenn talked about his strategy and his funnels, and it sounds like a lot, right? Have this testimony. If you don't have that one, drop this one in there, and you're like, well, I don't even have a video, much less testimonial, much less, I don't know what Glenn's funnel is or whatever. Like, the genesis of all of this is as easy as clicking the boost button on your Facebook page, because that's what we're doing, boosting engagement. You don't need to run a specific funnel. But on the jingle side of things, perfect example, I haven't been to a Burger King in 6+ years, 8 years, 10 years. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I went to a Burger King. I went to Burger King yesterday because my 6-year-old has been begging me for the past week to go to Burger King because of the jingles they've been running 24/7 on the channels that he watches.
No
so
kidding.
Their Burger King Have It Your Way, You Rule jingle has been something that's been going on in our house for weeks and weeks and weeks, till finally we went yesterday. I'm like, fine, it's way out of the way, whatever. I had to make a U-turn on a major highway to get there. Like, here you go, kid. And of course he loved it because he was indoctrinated to love it. kid doesn't really eat much, but he ate the Burger King because of the jingle. He was so excited about it. I have another friend, Lance McCann, who we interviewed a couple weeks ago, who's a luxury agent. He's got a really good jingle, not necessarily real estate related, just yes, you can with Lance McCann. It's catchy. And we've been promoting that forever in his market, and people know him for that. It's his name. Yes, you can with Lance McCann. And it hit good. So I think in the world that we live in, where audio, where reels, stories, it's a big play right now that I think a lot of people are missing.
You know what I'd say? Let me just add this because I get all enthusiastic because I know, because I've seen agents go from broke to million a year. And so I get enthusiastic and passionate about it, and I can't help myself. One thing I just want to slow myself down and say, because Nick, you just brought my attention to this. I just gave you a strategy at lightning speed. Most real estate agents don't have the technical ability to do it. And then Nick just said, we're just using the boost button. So let me slow down for a minute and just say this one thing about that strategy I just mentioned. Don't let it freak you out. The filming of the testimonial is nothing but a camera sitting on a tripod, frame them up, push record, then tell them to forget about that and then interview them with your phone. Just a very simple, do that. But then get someone like Nick on your side, because what you want to do is get those videos nicely edited, put them in the bucket, get your audience, because if you just push the boost button and don't know how to drive the audience setup, you could be boosting it to all of America. So you're there in San Francisco and you're running ads in bloody Florida and New York or God knows where. So you get someone like Nick to set your world up that when you've got these videos, they go on your timeline. Your job is just put it on the timeline, type a few nice words and click the boost button that then goes to Nick, then shows you how to point that ad at the right audience, because Nick does the setup back of house. So Nick just shows you how to upload the video to the timeline, push the boost button, tell it where to go, and then you go to work, because the technical ability to set this thing up, I get so enthusiastic, I assume everyone's done the training to know how to do it. So don't let the complexity of that Facebook platform stop you. Hire someone like Nick for a half a day, get your stuff set up, and then he'll be able to show you how to do it with something very simple as just the boost button. Because Nick, I pretty sure the USA agents would be the same as the real estate agents. We assume they have knowledge. I know I used to do it for my clients and I stopped. We assume they know the same amount of stuff as us. And most real estate agents know, if I consider myself a first year uni student of Facebook and online advertising, first year uni student. I learned from PhDs. At uni. Most real estate agents in Australia are kindergarten, maybe grade 1 or 2. The good ones are maybe grade 7 or 8, and they're few and far between, right? So if you are not knowing everything I said before about a campaign, an ad set, targeting, and all of that, and you like what Nick said, hey, it's just about pushing the boost button. Yes, it is, but hire someone like Nick for a half a day to get yourself set up so that it is as easy as pushing the button, addressing the audience that Nick set up for you, which is perfectly honed to be shoving that stuff right in front of the consumers that you want to target.
Damn. I like it a lot. I mean, that's all right there. We got to end it right there. That's a mic drop right there. That's really, I'm quiet. I'm literally writing stuff down. It is true. And thank you again, Glenn, for the quick kick in the dick. In regards to not following through on things, but it is something I needed to hear, and I think that a lot of times agents do need to hear that, And as salespeople, we try to sell them to go do things. They're like, "Oh my God, check this out!" But stay what's tried and true to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's really that simple. And let's wrap this bad boy up. We're going to start with Mr. Silent over here, Mr. Glenn Twiddle. Mr. Glenn Twiddle.
I'm embarrassed.
I literally was looking at Gene and I said Glenn. I'm like, what the hell?
I like how Gene, we got the same shit going. We got better things to do with our hormones than grow hair, right? We're rocking, man. I love it.
I'm going to start using that, Glenn. Thank you for that.
That's good.
Okay. Gene Volpe, Evil Bald Ninja #1 USA version. Let's take some takeaways from you and then a color on the boat for the show, please.
I'll keep it super short because I feel like the audience we're talking to, that 90% of them still hasn't taken any of the advice we've given them over the last 8 years. So jump onto whatever platform it is that you're using, create 5 pieces of content using Canva that put your name out there, learn the system. It's one of these things again, right? A lot of it, and Glenn was just talking about doing the videos. Have a Zoom call with one of your clients and hit the record button. Like that's the testimonial. And then you chop out the front and the back of it. There's a way to hide yourself. Like all you got to do is spend 13 seconds Googling that. It'll show you a YouTube video how to do it. Then you get on Canva, which is free, create 3 or 4 different cool little advertisements with templates, take $100 out of your pocket. It's probably the wallet will creak as you open it, right? And then take $100 out of your pocket and go for 30 days and see what happens. That's all. Simple stuff.
That's actually not a bad idea. Okay. And color on the bow, please.
Black.
Riyadh black.
Just black.
Black. Okay. Of course, Mr. Nick Zakas. Takeaways, and then let's talk a little bit about color on the bow.
Takeaways. Glenn has rejuvenated something in my mind for this initial branding. I used to do this a lot years ago, and now we've gotten so honed in on direct response. And this is kind of a breath of fresh air to have Glenn on and be so passionate about just specifically the branding side and getting your voice out there. And so my take on this from everything that he said is, you should be doing video. We talk about this on our show every single week when we come on here about doing video. Mm-hmm. Your mind's eye has been in TikTok, YouTube Reels, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts, I should say. And it's overwhelming to think about if you're not doing video consistently on these platforms, you're not going to get the reach that you want or you see other people doing. So if you wake up in the morning with that tightness in your chest because you feel like you should be making a video every single day or multiple videos a day, Glenn's strategy or this just branding strategy is perfect for you, because now instead of having that pressure in your chest of I got to make videos every single day, you can focus on let's make 1 good video or 2 good videos every week or so, maybe every 2 weeks. And then you just put a little bit of ad spend behind it. So for all the other people who are busy making busy videos every single day, multiple times a day, you now are leveraging a platform and a little bit of dollars for your time. So let's focus on making 1 or 2 really good videos a week or 3 or 4 a month and just putting a little bit of money behind it and getting the exposure that way through the platform, as opposed to all the time and effort and energy it takes to make multiple videos a day and be on that hamster wheel. Because if you've been on that hamster wheel, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've never been on it, you don't want to be on it. It's a very tough. Once you start committing to video, you feel like you can never stop. But adding some of those dollars in really, really helps with that leverage. So I'm going to put, oh man. So I mentioned Bloomin' Onion earlier. He talks about Australia. I'm going to go red for Outback just because why not, right?
Okay, red for Outback. All right. Good takeaways, by the way, Nick. I love that idea. Those ideas. Glenn Twiddle. You
got to tell me what this bow is. What's the bow thing?
Has it really been that long that you haven't been on the show?
Never been on the bow. I mean, you'd always say, let's put a bow on this bitch, but you'd never, I don't know what the color thing means or whatever.
It's literally, it's a running joke. I generally used to do it with just guests, but I mean, with just hosts but now we're doing it with everybody. It's just, you pick a random color. It really doesn't fucking matter.
I thought, is there something underneath this, or is it just pick a color?
just pick a color, baby. You can do whatever you want.
Well, hot pink's always my color, so that's good. Takeaways, though, one thing that I noticed, I haven't got a video testimonial evergreen bucket of my own. So I've got my audiences set up. I deploy video testimonials at them a lot, but not as well as I instruct my real estate friends to do. I'm so focused on them and getting their stuff right, I've let mine slip a little bit. And also, I haven't been a coach for sort of 3 years. I have been, but because of COVID, we couldn't do seminars. So my front end of my funnel, I just sort of let it go. And we really became an ad agency, just doing what I used to teach them instead of teaching them anymore. So I sort of became more like a VaynerMedia, if you will, for real estate agents, an advertising agency, where we generate leads for them. I've now got 20 cold calling prospectors that just churn out calls for real estate agents. So that's where my business became. But I'm still in my heart a coach, And I still do have coaching clients, and hell, I've got time to do more now. So I'm going to set up my video evergreen bucket because I've got thousands. I once got Greg, I've got to tell you this. I don't know if I told you this before. My complaint handling procedure now, I said to my team, hey, find as many video testimonials of mine as you've got. Put them all together in one video and put it up to YouTube. At 4.5 hours, they said, is that enough? Right. So I've got a 4.5 hour video on YouTube, 30 seconds to a minute at a time. So hundreds of real estate agents just saying agent after agent after agent for 4.5 hours that I'm great. And so I've got plenty of content, and that's what I do whenever I get a complaint. I just send them that video and I say, so look, maybe you're right that I am a total fraud and a total douchebag, or maybe, and then I just get them to have a look at that. And I imagine what they're doing. They'll watch a minute and they'll say, oh, yeah, it's someone saying he's great. Yeah, of course you can get one person to say he's great. And then they go, oh, but wait a minute, that's 4 hours long. And so then they slide the fader along, right, the little thing along. And they'll get to the 2 hour mark and it's still going because they'll think, oh, yeah, it's 3 minutes of it, but then it's just a black screen for 4 hours. And they'll just slide it all the way along and they'll just see 4 hours of it. So I've got the videos. I just haven't got a video testimonial evergreen bucket. So I'm going to set one up. That's my takeaway.
That's a shame.
Right. And so
about 1,000 of those videos running in a funnel.
Yes, I completely agree. And like, guys, if you don't have 4 hours of people saying, singing your praises from, the skies, you know what? If you're new in the business, go to the people and have them give testimonials about your character, about your work ethic, about something that they can honestly say. Go to your neighbors. Maybe you helped out an elderly neighbor. Say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, you know what? I'm trying to build up my reputation, with folks know that I have good character. Would you mind giving me a quick testimonial about anything? Maybe about how I helped you move those, 800 pounds of rock. Or whatever it is, the opportunities abound. And as we were talking about earlier, Glenn was saying that this little thing called a phone, this is a recording studio right here. You can go get a Smart Lav from Rode mics. It's a lavalier microphone. It clipped on your shirt. That one clipped right into the bottom of the phone. Now you have great audio. You can, and that costs about $80. You can go buy
Greg, ideally do it, Greg, but don't you dare give them a reason not to start. So I can't do one today because I've got to go get what Greg said. I've got to go get a lav. Just stick that on a goddamn bloody tripod, push record and get your first one. Then go get a lav. Because Greg, you're giving him an excuse. I know you are.
I am. Shit. I had, when I first started recording, guys, and we've gone way the fuck over the limit on this show. But
my fault.
When I first started recording video, what I did, this is not a good represent. This is an Alexa, but I had a giant coffee mug, a little bit bigger than this. And I turned that thing over, had a little lip on it. I leaned it against the wall, took a stack of business cards like this. Like one of these things, right? With business cards, use that to brace it. And that was my first microphone and my first stage. It was off of a phone, turned sideways on a giant mug with a stack of cards holding it up. That was it, guys and gals. So
the microphones on camera, on cell phones are pretty good. Damn good.
Yeah,
they really are. They're much better than you think they would be.
And
if you use any kind of editor, there's enhancements and noise reducers that you can click a button.
Wait, listen.
There's no excuse.
Let me tell you something. I just went out and bought this brand new lavalier mic, two lavalier mics that fit in a self-charging case for my phone.
The wireless ones, right?
$149, and they're badass.
Ooh, can you describe what brand? Because I'm looking.
I'll have to look at it. They're in my trunk. I'll have to pull it out and let you know. But they're awesome.
And they're wireless labs.
Yep. Yeah, the thing plugs right in. It's a little thing like this that sits in the middle of the case, and the other two, it almost looks like an Apple iPod case.
Yeah.
Not an iPod case, the earbuds, right?
Yeah.
It looks like that, and it self-charges. So you charge that thing, it charges all the things for you. It lasts like 8 hours, dude. The quality is incredible. It has noise cancellation on it. I want to say $129 or $149, and it's for two people.
Yeah.
Huh. That's freaking awesome. That is a great investment.
I'll find it right now, and I'll send it to you, Greg.
Yeah, we'll put in the links here on YouTube.
Glenn, did you give us a color for the bow?
Pink.
Yeah,
hot pink.
Pink, okay.
Okay, there it is, guys. Oh, wait a minute. What's my takeaway? God, you guys are so kind. I just love it when you ask me these in-depth questions. I think we've all said it, and I think Glenn really nailed it home. Don't overthink it. We can give you 1,000 ideas, but if you just get out there and you just start shooting something, if you want to make life really bone-numbingly simple, go to Chat GTP and type in, give me 5, 4, 7, 15, pick a number of interesting real estate, video titles from my area, and type in your area, and then go shoot them. And then take that title, search it. 5 reasons why to live in the Bay Area, 5 reasons why not to live in the area. That's one video. They're called pro-con videos. Give me 7 videos of the pros and cons of why to live in the area. List them out real quick. They'll knock it out of the park for you. You don't have to overthink it. So do that. Okay, so we're gonna put a bow on the show here, guys. We have
real quick before you do it.
So I'm just gonna shut the fuck
We're
up.
setting a record.
No, I'm sorry, but you wanted to see this. I'm gonna show it to you. Hold on. Because the people are gonna want to know.
We would never do that on air, Gene.
There you go.
Oh, I just saw those, dude. I was just looking at those.
So that for the people that can't see it, they're called Hollyland. It's a Hollyland Lark M1 wireless, $129.
Yeah, and they clip on pretty easily, and they.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I just saw those. I was looking at them. Okay.
Yep.
There it is. All right, guys. We're putting a black bow. We're putting a red, like the Outbacks bow. We're putting a hot pink bow and a blue bow on this show. So thanks for watching our hour and 20-minute episode. We have a lot of knowledge. Go back and rewatch it again. We'll be on YouTube. We're gonna have some shorts made out of this. So the entertaining that is stuff that the algorithm can pick up, because I don't have a staff yet. Glenn, show off. Love it. Hashtag aspiring to be Glenn Twiddle. And we're gonna kind of spit this out a little bit more for you guys. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We love you. Until next time. Peace out, ninjas. We gone.